Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So we all have relationships in our lives, some of them personal, some professional. We're social creatures. So we thrive on being connected to other people. Sometimes we connect with people that maybe shouldn't be in our lives or just don't serve us. And I remember when somebody told me that there were people in my life that didn't serve me, it almost seemed dirty. Like, what do you mean don't serve me? I felt like, I'm like a king on a hill and, these little people don't serve, but no, sometimes they shouldn't be in your life. And we're going to talk about relationships, how to figure out what should be there and what shouldn't be there. He's an author, speaker, and an amazing coach, helps you break formation. Ray Jones is back with us. Hey, Ray, how's it going?
What is going on, Steve? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I just had a flash. I had a producer back in the day, and he was Ray J. Last name started with J. We call him Ray J. So I just realized that you are Ray J in a way.
Yeah. I've had that reference a couple times, and I was like, okay. I'd rather not because of the relationship with that association of Ray J and maybe a video that surfaced a decade or so ago.
Right. As you were starting to say it, I was starting to think it. So I gotcha. On that. Well, you're somebody that helps people get clarity on their lives, and this whole relationship thing, it's big. It's big, and a lot of times we pick people in our lives, and I'm not even just talking about intimate relationships, just people in general, where you realize that after a while it's not working. And I think that phrase for a reason or a season definitely fits. Once you take a step back and analyze what that person brings to your life, what you bring to their life, this one over here, that one over there. If you take the time, you really see it clear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were doing the intro, I think we actually ended last week. And for those that are listening, obviously Steve has a lot of conversations. I have a lot of conversation with coaching clients, and sometimes these things just blur together because our relationship with personal development and growth, that is just part of who we are. And I think we ended it last week talking about relationships that sometimes need to end because they no longer serve us in the season of life that we are currently in and where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
And I just love that you said that word that kind of, okay, it brought that back of what we were actually ended the conversation with last week, because they do end up flowing right into the next day and then to the next day, and it's good. But man, one of the most important relationships in anybody's life, though, Steve, is the relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a while to just in my own life just to realize that, and I'm not saying like, people who don't like themselves or aren't happy with whatever it is they're doing or what they're experiencing in life, but we often attract who we are. And it's Jim Rohn says, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And if you become the average of the people you spend the most time with and you no longer like your situation, you need to change the relationship of who you are and who you want to be, and accept the fact that who you currently are in life, based off where you want to go, needs to change.
How do we realize that? For example, let's say there's people in your life that you're kind of on the fence with, I don't know if they're the best fit, but I'm going with it. But you allowed them in your life. How do you analyze you and connect it to them?
There's always going to be like a level of, I don't want to say not uncomfort, because being uncomfortable is good, but when you look at the relationship and trying to analyze and assess who is in it and what they're doing, first off, you got to understand that you need to have a vision for where you want your life to go and what type of experience. We get to do this one time. I don't know what you believe in, what everybody else believes in, but I believe we get to do this one time. So it's an experience we only get to do once. And if I'm not happy with the current experience I'm having in life, I need to take a look at, one, what am I doing? Who am I hanging out with? And then what does my environment look like? And if who I'm hanging out with doesn't feed the experience I want to have in life, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that, they're having actual negative impact. But some people, like what we just talked about our houses, and you're moving in the opposite direction. I'm trying to get to society because I'm out here on some land because my daughter needs to be social, and you're trying to get a little bit away from it because you and your daughter need a little bit more peace and away from people. So our experience doesn't have to be the same thing. But if we have people around us that, if you and I are in a relationship in a social manner and you want to be away from people and I'm trying to get near people, that doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve the experience we want to have in life. So when you look at people around you and you're like, I spend a lot of time with this person, but every time I'm around them, they want to do stuff, and it's not to me, but they want to have a different experience than I do. You probably shouldn't be there. We talked about last week, we talked about romantic relationships and ones that have not been so successful in our experience in this life. But if you are a married person and you hang out with a bunch of single people, those single people want to do something that doesn't necessarily serve the vision that you have for your marriage.
100%.
And vice versa. If you're a single person hanging out with a bunch of married people, it's probably going to be hard for you to find someone else who is single out there doing single people stuff.
And I'm going to take a second here. I'm single. So I think about this. I don't hang out with anybody who's married. I had to process that for a second. Maybe I don't know. Everybody has, relationships have ended. There's some friends that I've been with forever and they're married. I don't hang out with them as much. And for the same reason you said, because their priorities are different. We'll get together from time to time. And even the people I hang out with are mostly single. There are a few that are in a relationship. They're not married. But that even goes back to analyzing what's in your life. It's almost like taking inventory. Who do we got here? And
Oh, exactly.
I don't even share. I don't know if I shared one person in my circle, and a lot of my friends are the majority in the last 2 years I met them. And we're tight, we're close. And people even tell me, looking from the outside in, like, "Hey, did your age? People don't do that. People don't have all these new people. It just happened. And it's wonderful. And we rely on each other, we help each other. But there were one or two in our circle that just didn't fit. Like
Yeah.
they had challenges. We tried to help them, but it turned into more of a toxic situation. And I don't want, I say this very carefully. Those one or two people had to go. It
Yeah.
just, it just did not work. It turned into and they always try to come back from time to time, but we know in our group that it's just not, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They don't fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even
And
say that, but it's
it
the
is. And
reality.
that's the uncomfortable piece. And that's why I say like the relationship with yourself. If I'm not satisfied with where I'm at in life and I know I want to go somewhere else, I got to start doing things differently. But it's the uncomfortable piece of saying, okay, we've been friends, Steve, we've been friends for 10 years, man. But if you want to keep going out every weekend and I'm trying to find ways to improve myself, I have to change those habits. But if you don't want to change those habits, then what are we doing here? Some people be like, "Oh, you're selfish," and you hear the cliche, the standard is, "Oh, you've changed." Yeah, I should be changing.
Absolutely.
That's what happens. Like I can't be 21-year-old Ray going into my 40th year of life. Like that just doesn't work. So when you have those people around you and you're like, I have a relationship with a platonic, romantic, business, whatever it is, if you're trying to grow into a different area, naturally you're going to outgrow those relationships unless they grow with you.
Which is even the baseline for a romantic relationship. If you're not growing individually, but together, there's a misalignment
Yeah.
within that. And it's funny you talk about looking at the growth. I've often heard that we're on a 5-year evaluation. Most of us, every 5 years, we reevaluate, and then it takes, if you're going to end a situation, relationship, 2 years to make the decision. That's why they call it the 7-year itch. So
Yeah.
the 5-year thing, I just read research and surveys that a lot of people are now in a 12-year. They're looking ahead 12 years instead of looking at 5-year increments, which is interesting. I guess, give them a plus there. I mean, I think 12 years from now, I kind of got an idea, but that's so far away in a lot of
Yeah.
regards. Then again, maybe it's not. Um, how do you make the determination those people that don't fit based on yourself? Like how do you tell where you're at in your relationship with yourself and then decide those people don't fit?
It's I mean, a lot of times people are okay, like my why. We talk about that generality of my why. Like, why am I doing anything? And my why is to be present and be as fully involved and engaged with my daughter as I can. Because I was in the Army for 20 years, wasn't able to be home with my oldest daughter. So I want to be able to do that with my youngest, which means if I want to do that, I have to become a better person and I have to make sure that I see opportunities of growth, opportunities to create incomes to where I'm not going to work in a 9 to 5 so that I
Gotcha.
can do all those things. That stemmed from a dissatisfaction of the current experience I was having in life. I was dissatisfied with it. And as much as, yeah, I can probably point out to everybody else and everything else, the only person that has the perception on my life and its experience is me. So if I want to change that perception, I have to start doing things differently. So my dissatisfaction forced me to
Hmm.
try to create a different experience in life. If I depend on everybody else, I'm always going to be sitting there and waiting for somebody to give me a handout, for somebody to tell me, good job. You know what, Ray? I really feel like you're doing an amazing job. I'm going to give you a $50,000 a year bonus. That seems excessive. And it seems excessive to make that statement because no one's going to give me that. But can I figure a way out to make an extra $50,000 a year? Yeah, if I grow as an individual means everything that I was doing. And today kicks off football season. I am a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. They play tonight. Looking forward to the game. But 5 years ago, Steve, I would watch Thursday night football, Sunday football. We don't say Sunday, a Sunday football from first kickoff to Sunday night game, Monday night, all of that. I had to realize that watching and as invested as I was in these games, like my attention, it wasn't serving the thing that I said I wanted to do
Hmm.
because I was wasting time. So as much as I enjoyed that and I like watching it, I like seeing I'm watching a bunch of people make $1 million a game, a couple $1 million a game,
Yeah.
and I'm just paying for a Sunday ticket. Like, it's
I
like
got it. Now I
it's
want to ask you, deeper question. Do you think that you were watching the games Thursday, Sunday, Monday, whatever it might be, because you were escaping what the reality was that you knew you needed to make some changes, but I'm not ready right now. Man, the game's on. All right. Okay.
at the time, no, I don't think I was. I honestly think that I just didn't have I think I was just existing. I was being entertained. And you look at how many things, and this is where we talk about relationships with other people. We talk about what is your relationship with entertainment? We've
Mm.
got these wonderful devices, these phones, and you got social media, and those things can either be a tool or a distraction.
Oh, yeah.
I've
TikTok,
got,
TikTok videos for hours. I don't do
yeah,
it. But many people do.
yeah. But I mean, even when I first got on social media, it was like, okay, I'd post random memes and, you know, random comments or just a picture or any of it. And now when I post, you just see the shift. Okay, it was a distraction. Like you said, I'd scroll and maybe comment, like whatever. Now I post videos about my coaching. I post videos about real estate. I post about a webinar that I have coming up. That has now become a tool that I use because everybody in you typically look at now we'll go to the business side and why you need to grow as an individual is because you are on one side of the table, whether you believe it or not. Capitalism, you are either a consumer or a producer. If you are consuming, you're consuming information, you're consuming entertainment, but at the consumption of your time and your money and your energy. If I am producing, it's providing for me. It's
Mm.
producing more time, more energy, and more money for me to do the things to increase my experience in life. But if we don't change our perception on that and we're like, oh, it's nothing wrong. I'm going to watch my favorite series on Netflix. I'm going to binge 7 episodes when they're an hour each. That sounds like a full-time job, doesn't it?
Totally.
But how many of us actually do it? I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm just saying your relationship with entertainment can be parasitic in nature to your life. The relationship with people that just want to go out and be entertained. I mean, we go out to the bars and we're having a few drinks and you have loud music. How much are we actually just like engaged? It's not, is that the relationship with us, or I just need someone with me? I can't really hear you. Eventually we become a little bit incoherent. So what we may have said, 90% of it we forget anyway. So is it really a relationship with the individual, or is it just a relationship that I need to go out and be entertained and have a little bit of fun? Occasionally is great.
Occasionally is great, but I also think there's another aspect to that as well. Good or bad, we just want to be around people because we're social creatures. So
Yes.
I'll tell you, I love live music. I'll go to see anything. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter to me. Really doesn't. And then there are people, I'll say, hey, I live next to a venue, like literally, well, that's how I got the cut on my arm because I was going over a fence. But I'll say to people, hey, I got free tickets for this show. You want to go? And they'll, some will say, oh, I don't like that music. I don't really care. I just want to be there because there's an energy that comes from live music and a vibe and everything that's connected to it. So I think, to your point, when people go out somewhere, bar, whatever it might be, there's a little bit of that, but also, yeah, you just want to be around or with somebody that you went with. Are you really interacting with them? Usually not. If it's loud, you're just staring at people and having another drink.
Yeah.
It's so true.
But you said something right there, and that you are aware of that. You are aware that you enjoy the environment. You enjoy the energy. You're aware of that. But if you were going to, and if you're in a place and space in life that you're good, that's fine. You can do that as frequently as you want. But if you want to go somewhere else, if you're not, this is where you said, are you satisfied with the experience? Yeah, I am. And I'm not saying that I don't go out to bars and that I don't go out to comedy clubs. But
Sure.
typically I go to conferences in Mexico. I'm speaking at a real estate conference in Dominican Republic this year in October. I'll be there for 7 days. You think I'm not going to be at the pool having some drinks?
It's part of the gig.
But
Yeah.
it is. But I'm going to be there. But I'm going to be socializing with people that, even though we're having drinks, we're talking about opportunities. We're not talking about the good old days.
Right. And you can talk about things you relate to at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think the word you brought up is awareness, because I'm aware of the live situation and why there's a nice vibe going on with it. But also being aware of the people in your life. And I was involved with somebody, this is going back like a year and a half ago. It wasn't a great relationship, but it was somebody to hang with. I was in between a move, so I stayed at her place here and there. But in your life for a season or a reason, turns out that I had radiation for skin cancer. And when I look back on all of it, she was there for a reason. And what the reason was, she's a nurse. I never even put the two and two together. Here I am getting treated. It had to be happening and blah, blah, blah. I'm in between houses, a lot going on. And then she would come, I'd be at her place. She'd walk in and she's like, oh my God, look at you. I got to take care of you. I'm like, oh, this is why she's in my life. And I was there for her in other ways as well. And it ran its course 6 months and that was it. But there was a reason for it. And I think if you're aware of that, you're in a better place, because now I get it. And it's like, okay, and I know that, it's not a good relationship, but it was at the moment for what it was.
Yeah. It served its purpose.
It did for both of us.
Even if you didn't realize that was its purpose for you in the first place.
I did not. And I didn't know that I was getting radiation when I first met her, but that's more validation for me. And it's whatever you believe, that things do happen for a reason. Yeah. I believe that she was put in my life for that reason at that time. Other people, yeah. Do we know exactly why these people are here, there? No. Sometimes it gets revealed later. You figure it out. That's just my feeling, my vibe on it, my understanding of it.
Man, most of the time you can never find the purpose behind an event until after it's happened. You can
Sure.
trace those purposes and the reasons from things that have already occurred. You can't predict them.
For sure.
So it's that perception that changes. And like I said, and I don't want people to think that they cannot go enjoy themselves. I can guarantee you, Steve, tonight I will be sitting down in front of my TV when kickoff happens.
Good for you.
Because my boys are playing. But I will not spend all day Sunday from kickoff to the end of Sunday Night Football sitting down watching. There's that awareness, like it had to happen. I'm saying this is probably years that I would watch. And then when I was aware that I wanted more, I started taking category of how I spent my time. And you're talking 4.5 months of this, of watching and looking forward to games. And then people are like, do you watch college? I'm like, no, I don't watch college. I was aware of this. I don't watch college because I watch a lot of regular football. And if I watched college, we're also taking up Saturday and some Fridays. Like I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware of how much time I was already committing to pro football. So once I became aware that, I want something different, and I started looking at how I spent my time, my relationship with time, my relationship with energy, my relationship with money, my relationship with people. Like, it doesn't always have to be relationships with people. What's your relationship with how you respect your time? I was like, okay, I can probably be putting my time elsewhere. And as much as I still enjoy football and as much as I love watching it, I'm like, spending all day watching is probably not the best way to spend my time.
I love that
saying
you
I
call
want
them relationships. It's
Yeah.
because we do, if you look at it that way, we have a relationship with food. Why do you
Yeah.
eat certain things? Because why do you hang with certain people? They make you feel a certain way. Why am I eating mac and cheese? It's a comfort food. I feel like
Yeah.
a kid, brings me back.
Yeah.
Have a relationship with this thing over here. Sometimes this over, the relationship is too strong, got to put it down. All of that, even with money and people who have challenges finding abundance, maybe they have not a healthy relationship with money. Maybe it's because of the way they were brought up. Maybe, they were brought up not to think that they can't make money.
Yeah. And that's where, and I love, like, this is why I like a relationship so important. So when I say like a relationship with time, so like one of the things, what did I say my why was? So that I can be present and there with my daughter. Am I really
Yep.
present if I'm spending all day Sunday where I don't want to say 100%. I don't know. There might be some schools out there, but there is no school on Sunday. So if I'm spending all day Sunday in front of my TV because I enjoy, and I deserve to take a break, I deserve to sit down and watch football because I work hard all week. But am I really being there with my daughter? No. And she's over here trying to, Dad, can we play? Can we do this? Can we go swimming? And I'm just like, oh, after the game. And now it's 4 hours later. Now she's preoccupied doing something else. Am I really doing what I said I wanted to do? Or even when you look at, like you said, your relationship with money. My relationship with money came from a relationship that I had with my parents and their relationship with money.
Yep.
So now you have relationships that were brought on to you from how other people had relationship with whatever. Like, it's so important just to be aware of, okay, why do I experience these whatever it is, with friends, family, romantic partners, money, time, whatever it is that you have, why are you experiencing your relationship in the way you are? And if you're adjustment, because it's not complete change, it's slow adjustments over time that get you to a space of figuring, okay, this is where I'm happy. And this isn't something that my parents think is and then they may think the way that you have relationships is not healthy. But what is your relationship with yourself and how you have relationships with others? What is your experience that you want to have? The moment you realize that and you start making those small adjustments, you're just going to be that much more happier. You're going to have that much more joy, and you're just going to experience life in a different way. But you have to be aware of why your relationship is the way it is in whatever area it is.
Do you feel, and we're just about out of time, but do you feel when you're analyzing that stuff in your life that you should write it down? Because when I'm sitting there driving or I'm thinking or doing whatever, my head just bounces around like, well, there's this, there's that, there's this. But to get full clarity, I find that I have to write it down. It's just for me.
Yeah.
Nobody else has to see it, but just the thoughts, why do I spend, hours watching football? Hmm. You write it down. Then some epiphany, maybe it starts coming a little more clearer. Do you think that's a good idea?
So you have decades of studies about journaling. And even if you don't want to call it journaling, that's fine. I don't even like calling it journaling.
Yeah, it sounds like work.
It does. But spiritually, it's Habakkuk 2:2. It's write the vision, make it plain, for he who sees it can run to it. Okay, and if you don't want to go spiritually, it's like you literally just write it down so that you can see what it is. And if you want to make the adjustment, it's clear as to why. But our thoughts, man, they're always there. You say a thought is fleeting, it's gone. Like I think about it, it's gone. All the things are going on. We have all this stimuli going on, stimulation going on. I'm thinking about this, and how many times have we thought about something? Have you done that where you left one room of the house and you went to another, and then you completely forgot why you were there?
Fifteen
Like,
thousand percent. And I like to believe that I'm not like OCD, or I'm pretty focused, but your brain is bouncing so many,
yeah, yeah,
40,000 thoughts in a day. And then,
yep,
but to what you just said, seeing is believing. So when
yep,
you write it down, now you can believe it or see it to believe it if you choose to, and all of that. Um, I think you're somebody that can help us figure that out. And
yeah.
and
And
and I love there's one word you just said before, relationship, but also deserve. You deserve certain things. And sometimes we feel that maybe we don't deserve things, but we do.
yeah,
But we do.
and I'll just wrap this because I know we're getting short. When you write it down, you don't have to write it down and sit there and stare at it in that moment. But when you write it down and it pops up and you go back and you reflect on it, you're able to capture the moment of how you felt and why you even wrote it.
Hmm.
I can't remember why I thought something 10 minutes ago. But if I would have written it down and written down, okay, like you said, like how I'm feeling in this moment, I don't need to look at it then because I'm in the moment. I don't need to look at it. But if I come back 2 days later and I look at it and I'm just like, man, like you capture you and your thoughts. And this is you talking to you from yesterday. And it's like that's why it's so important. Like people are like, oh, I don't want to have a journal or a diary. But if you capture how you felt and you capture it over time, if I capture it and I write 5 days this week, and maybe I just take some time off in the weekend and I write 5 days next week and the week after, and I go back and I look at it, there's going to be moments of patterns where you seem like I was just
Hmm.
dissatisfied with this. I was dissatisfied with this. And then you start looking at, okay, what was going on in that during that day? What do I typically do on Wednesdays? What was happening? And then you can start associating why you're feeling that way in that moment. And then that's when you can make the adjustment. So it's not like I write it down today and I never think about it again. I write it down, I continue writing it down. And then when I start looking back, I'm going to see patterns in certain days when I'm feeling certain ways. When I was around somebody, I started feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
Then you take a look at that, and then you're like, man, I wasn't even aware of this. And then like, now you see it and you're like, okay, now I make those small adjustments. Hey, let's just see if I don't do this on a Wednesday and I start writing down, does that feeling get removed? And when it does, you're just, if you don't do it, if you don't make the adjustment, you're just arguing with yourself. There's nobody else to blame. It's you. So I love that you brought that up. I love that you brought just writing it down because as much as it is, one, you get it out of your head so that it's not bouncing around. Because you said bouncing around, it's on the left side of my brain. 10 minutes from now and I forget about it. And then tomorrow it's right back over here and I'm thinking about it again. And it's like, why does that keep there? Because I never wrote it down. I never got it out of my head. I never
Hmm.
actually put it out into the world and just let it go. But I also don't have the opportunity to reflect on what was going on with just me mentally. And then this problem just keeps reoccurring. But when I do that, I write it down, I revisit it, I reflect, I notice a pattern, and then I make the adjustments.
And here's the most important thought. You had the thought for a reason. There's a reason it came up. Inside here, it knows the answer. Your subconscious is telling you, hey, wait a minute, yo, I got something to say to you, dude. And you're not listening. So ping, 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 it bounces around and
Yeah.
then the thought goes away. And imagine if you want to look at growth, pick a year, 2, 3, 5, whatever, and then look back at what you wrote down. It blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's what I was doing. That's where I was at.
That one word, subconscious. And we wrap it
Yeah.
up there. Subconscious. Conscious, that's your awareness. Your subconscious, that's beneath your awareness. So if things keep popping up and you don't know why, it's in your subconscious. That means it's beneath your awareness. You have to bring it to a level of awareness. So when you think subconsciously, that's where memories are planted. When you go to sleep, that's when memories are stored. Things that happen during the day, things are stored in your subconscious. It means you're not aware of those. So if they pop up and you're like, where did that come from? It came from a level that you are not aware of. So you have to address it.
You have to address it. And pretty scary when you think about, it's been said that we're only 5% conscious.
Yeah.
95% is the subconscious. So we'll leave it at that. I'm going to write it down. Your web address to find you. How do we do that? What is it?
So you can email me at ray@breakingformation.com. I am on Instagram at rays, RAYS_breaking_formation. And you can also visit my website, www.breakingformation.com.
Always awesome talking with you, Ray, and appreciate all the thoughts today. Let's just good stuff. It's so important when it comes to relationships, which is, most of our lives, right?
That's all of our lives.
Yeah.
It's all of our lives. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's amazing, Steve, man. I look forward to talking to you again next week.
Same. And here's hoping you guys win tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Well, you know what?
I've already been getting the harassment texts and tags on social media because I've been a Chiefs fan since they were terrible.
Well, yeah, there it is. Positive manifestation. It's going to win. They're going to win. Yeah. All right. We'll catch up next time. Thanks a lot.
I will. All right.
All right.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.